So, welcome to another episode of Under the Agency Hood, an interview series designed to shine a light on how agencies think and how they deliver value to their clients. My name is Mark Sneider. I'm founder and CEO of RSW US. We're the nation's leading outsourced new business firm, working primarily with marketing service agencies and other professional service firms. And today we're here with Jerry Youngblutt, the CEO of Boyden Youngblutt. BNY is a full service marketing agency with deep experience generating solid returns on investment for their clients in the healthcare, manufacturing, and not for profit space. They're in the business of driving more leads, more patients, more donors, more subscribers, and more members. BNY is in the business of helping their clients win. And so, welcome, Jerry. Thanks so much for making the time today. Really appreciate it.
Mark, it's my pleasure. I'm excited about this. I've been looking forward to it for a week. So I hope we have a good one.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So I've got a handful of questions for you.
Okay.
First one, just tell me a little bit about Boyden and Youngblutt, who you guys are, what you do. If you had to sort of define a superpower for the agency in terms of the primary value that you provide to clients, if you can talk a little bit about that, that would be super.
Yeah. We're 35 years old, started in 90 with an idea. A lot of agencies existed back then, maybe more than now. But I guess maybe it was, previous life made me go, hey, I need some job security here too, if we're going to start this thing. And I really was into the ROI. And so I wanted to push that hard. And Andy Boyden and I talked about that. I said, I'm really not interested because I like longevity. And we felt that was important, that agencies be seen as a profit center, not a cost center. And so that's where we started, two guys in an office with no windows. So
Got it. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, and just moving forward, we've been really blessed. We chose to Fort Wayne, Indiana for our home, which meant, we want to do national quality work, and yet we're going to be in the confines of a market that's not, one of the top markets in the country, like a Chicago would be. And so we knew that. So really what we did was we started out just looking for brands to work with that could kind of fulfill both of those, and we had a lot of intangibles in this market. You've got insurance and banking and healthcare and things like that.
Okay. In the market you operate in now, you're talking?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the fact that you are based in Indiana, and what advantages do you think that provides clients that you work with?
I think the Midwest, true or false, has always had a great work ethic background.
Yep.
Kind of salt of the earth people, did the right thing when nobody was looking, all those kind of things. We definitely played to that. We worked hard to make that work, and we've obviously picked up clients that have offices all over the country, sometimes overseas.
Sure.
And that really does come back to us. I don't know, living here, if you realize how we are like that as much as others from the outside see us. And so it's
right.
So we definitely leveraged that where we could. I think the curiosity that we have, Missouri may be the show me state, but I think Indiana to some degree is too, because it's like, one of the things that we've tried to impart on our people that we're proud of is that it's like, just question it all. You have to question.
Yeah.
The status quo is your enemy, especially in our business. So, you and I have talked before about relevancy. And to me, that's super critical. And it's difficult right now because our industry keeps getting splintered into micro specialties.
Right. Do you feel the fact that you question everything provides a certain level of value to the clients that you work with? And if so, what is that, do you think?
That's a great question. And I'm wholeheartedly yes. The reason, one of the things that I think make us different, and I know we're all supposed to be, here's my differentiators, and it's very clear. Unfortunately, for most of us agencies, I think it's hard. We look and sound like the others, right? And so your people are everything. They make the difference. And nurturing those differences even among yourself to those people is interesting, because you can't have everybody just be like you, and you have no difference within. So we've always worked really hard to understand the entire business. So we're holistic. Our tagline is, "We think you win," and we mean it. And that means looking under the hood. That means asking questions about, well, how many are you ever going to open another location? Why would you pick that place? What's it going to be like to recruit there? Those kind of questions are more business questions. But we sort of steep our foundation of our creative, our strategic creative, in all of that. I don't think I don't think you can operate or should operate in a silo, in a vacuum, just doing the marketing and advertising. You need to understand all of it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's great, because I know just from our experience and the surveys we run among marketers and agencies that, marketers are being asked to do a lot more with less, and they just don't have, the time. They're looking for good, smart agencies that can not only serve as creative and communication experts, but also business experts as well. And so being able to kind of take it to that level with your clients, I think really, is a great way of setting yourself apart. And so certainly applaud that. You've identified or sort of zeroed in on three core categories: healthcare, manufacturing, and not-for-profits. And I think it's great that you've got that focus. I'm curious why these three. What about your experiences meshes nicely with the three categories that you're currently zeroed in on? I know you work with others, but it sounds like those are the three core ones.
No, that's fair. When you start off, I think everybody wants to do the Nike tennis shoe, right? It's like, hey, I can see it, sell it, I wear it, so I'm part of the audience. But when we chose Fort Wayne, like we were talking earlier, it's like, okay, who's here that serves a national and global audience? Those are the ones we want. And so like Lincoln National Corporation was here, huge 100 and some financial institution, insurance company. Reinsurance was here through them, which was more of their an offset to them. The medical device business was here, and while that sounds like a product, but it's really not. It's more of a service. And then just healthcare in general, and some banking. And so what we didn't know, which we learned, was we're really pretty good at taking an intangible and making it tangible. And I think that was the key for us. And so how do you do that? Well, I think it's why we lean toward branding. Branding's based on some emotional foundation. You try to evoke that emotion and cement that in the audience's mind for the long haul. And so we learned that, gosh, we're really pretty good at taking this thing and making it feel like something, and that people wanted. And it's like, well, how did you know? Well, some of it's anecdotal, and some of it's just as data has improved. You can look at the data, every market we went in. I mean, we started off, had never been in med device. They gave us $1. First campaign, we gave them $1 back. And then you could slowly see that walk up. And I think our last campaign did $9 return. And it's funny. When we hit the $5 mark, I'm excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is I'll take all the money out of it. You give me 5 times what I give you. They were like, it's okay, we could do better. And they were right. They were really right. So, and that became sort of formulaic. So we just learned that we had a really an affinity for doing the intangible. And thank goodness, because that's a lot of what we have.
Yeah, so you talked about making the intangible tangible, and what that's sort of bringing it to life, so consumers can relate to it more, feel more of an emotional connection. Is that kind of what you're referring to there?
It is. I have some philosophy, especially around healthcare, for example. And what I learned probably on accident, back in the day, was that you need to get people to choose you before they use you. And in healthcare, that is absolutely critical. I mean, none of us wake up and go, wow, I hope I can go to the hospital today, or I'm going to see what they're doing now. You don't.
Right.
And if you look at it, most of it is either, you're having a baby, you have a problem, and we're even looking at things for healthcare, for example, of saying, well, maybe we're marketing this wrong. We're marketing this based on service lines when maybe we should be marketing it to specific audiences that just have that need today.
Yeah. So, right. That makes sense.
It's a different mindset. when you think about the subtleties of that, they're kind of big. And they
Yeah.
certainly, people tune out when it doesn't apply and they just automatically are doing it. But when it does
Yeah.
apply, they perk up. And so it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you can't be 30 years old and have an issue that a 58-year-old has, for example. So
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
market to that affliction, if you will, you may see a better return. So we're sort of toying with
Yeah.
that.
Okay. That's interesting. Yep. Um, so I'm just curious, you know, what are some of the tougher challenges you've helped clients overcome, and what was a unique way in which you helped them? And maybe it's a little bit of what we just talked about, but as you think about maybe clients outside of healthcare or whatever, what have been some of the harder challenges that clients have brought to you?
Well, a serious one was with a med device. So knees,
Okay.
hips, those sort of things. So what we saw, because we had several years of under our belt with that industry, was there was a change coming, and all of a sudden it was forever, for decades, the same, right? All of a sudden
Hmm.
paradigm shifts started to happen. How are you going to bring yourselves to market in ways that went beyond a med device? It went really holistic, pre-identification,
Okay.
prevent, pre-identification, then, oh, we have a problem, fix it, and then nurture the person back to health. And so
Hmm.
we had a trade show out in San Diego, and my client had come up with a major paradigm shift. People weren't going to expect this. They had no idea. You might as well have been selling oranges when you always sold apples. And so it was like, okay, how do we tell this story? And we literally spent months because of working on this, because we gave them a trade show experience. That you first started off, it was in the round, meaning you went in, it literally was a round room, you had an audience and a speaker. Once they left there, they went in the round again, but they didn't know it. They were traveling a path. It was so complicated. We had to train individuals within the company to do their station. So it was
Manage it.
really
Yeah.
very tricky. And we even you had to account for everything. So we brought virtual reality in. It was like the first and really only virtual reality we did. Super expensive
Interesting.
project where you had people going, I missed that part of the going into the round, so how can I catch up? Well, we had a kiosk with all these headsets, so they would put them on and they would get the full experience inside the headset.
Hmm.
And then the last piece of that was all the way from, so you're going from C-suite thinking, trying to raise that stock price, trying to get your audiences of varieties to understand. And
Right.
we then went to, we literally wrote them an app, a different mentality on a sales app. So dropped it on an iPad. And you're like, well, what's so great
Hmm.
about that? Well, when you find out that these sales folks think they're going to meet with 5 people and they end up meeting with 1. They don't meet in a conference room where there's connectivity. They meet in the elevator. They meet in that hallway. It was like those were all the, can you fix this? And we did.
Yeah.
We did, because we fixed it and it was recording. It was sort of ahead of its time. It recorded everything. So when you did get back to connectivity, it automatically uploaded all of that stuff. And
Hmm.
so the question was, well, why is that important? It was so new. We deployed it all over the country, but we wanted to know what was working. And we didn't know who was going to figure out what was working as a salesperson until it worked. And so then we go
Right.
reverse engineer that data and go, oh, look what they did. They went from here to here to here. And it allowed
Hmm.
people to drag and drop their agenda. So all of a sudden I was supposed to have 4 people from the C-suite in here. I've got 2. Who's in here? Finance is in
Yep.
here, and whomever else. You could change your agenda. So those things went to the top to keep that audience's attention. Really just a fascinating piece. So that was probably the most complicated. And now
Yeah.
it was very difficult, and were under the gun. They had tried it with a New
Yeah.
York agency. It didn't work. They'd spent most of
Hmm.
their money, and they sort of brought us in after this client merged with another provider. And so we were brought in at the 11th hour to get it done. And we did. And
Okay.
so it worked out.
That's
It
awesome.
just worked out great. It's probably one of my proudest moments in the industry. The other one is a lot of fun. We had Red Gold Tomatoes. I don't know if anybody knows that brand.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so we want to try you guys, but we don't have any money. It's like,
Nice.
yeah, great.
What was their, what was that their challenge, or do
Well,
they have some
their
other
challenge
business
was,
challenge?
we want to move into Chicago. And
Okay.
and when they say we don't have any money, they meant we don't have a budget. We didn't budget for this. And so a good
Sure.
idea. So we put campaign ideas together, and then there was this bonus idea that, yeah, you can predict. They went for the bonus idea. Well, what was that? The Volkswagen Bugs had just been redesigned after all these decades. And we took the
Yeah.
VW Bug, put it in yellow, and we just wrapped it, before that was kind of before wrapping was much of a thing. And we wrapped it. And they're like, what's that? And so then they challenged us, what could you do with that? And what we did was we went out, we bought 7 Volkswagen Bugs. We hired what I would call Disney-like drivers. So clean cut,
Okay.
all American, well-spoken, outgoing, super positive people. And we had them drive these Bugs. And what we were launching this in winter. So it was a really gloomy gray, our winter.
Yeah.
And it's rainy. So we trained these kids to come up and drive these things. But we made an interesting rule that turned out to be key. And the rule was no car can be between you. It's 7 Volkswagens together all
In a row.
Yeah. All the time.
Interesting.
So we didn't know it, but I guess you would call it one of our only viral moment back in those days, because it just blew up. It was like a mystery.
Really?
It was a mystery. People had no idea. And they said, has anybody seen these Volkswagen? What is going on with that? They say something about something red on them. So it just became big to where the Chicago Auto Show reached out to us and said, we want these Volkswagens at the auto show. And
no kidding.
So I'm like, well, what will we do with them? And they said, well, we're not sure. And so the hoods, of course, you could put food in them. And they had a whole soup kitchen sort of, charitable side where we were, that was the plan. We put them up in Chicago, and then we would put food and donated food in the front. And we would go to places and donate the food. So that's why the kids had to be able to talk it and walk it and sell the brand. And they ended up having them at the entry of the auto show, ran a full page ad in the Chicago Tribune or something, whatever. I don't know the name, but Tribune, I believe. And if you donated a can of food, you got $5 off your admission. So when you came in, we had all of our V-dubs in there with the hoods up, kids standing beside them, and it just exploded. It was crazy, to the point that Red Gold took that program for years and went to the next market. Yeah, and they were really kind. They called them.
So it helped them break into Chicago.
It brought them into Chicago. I mean, we blew the metrics away. And then awesome. I know they went down south, and they called us beforehand and said, how do we work this? What do we do? We want it. We want to continue it. I'm like, take it. I'm not in that business technically, so you take it. But it was a huge success, and it was fun. So had a great
That's
time.
great. Really showcases some pretty extreme creativity. And,
and
pulling
it goes to show you think but that was an idea, understanding the business, understanding society, what was new, what was fresh, what was already going to. So it's just borrowed equity too from those those Volkswagen Bugs. So it just all came, lightning in a bottle.
That's awesome. So as you look forward, I'm curious what you think about AI's role will be in the world of marketing agency relationships. I mean, it's here.
Yeah.
It's being used, in lots of different ways. Just as you think about, 5-10 years out, 1-2 years out, what's it going to look like? How is it going to affect agencies? How is it going to sort of find its way in the relationship with your marketing clients? If you could kind of talk a little bit about what you're seeing today and what you expect going forward.
Yeah, it's funny. I've always we've always been early adopters as an agency. And Frank, I think we are ahead of the curve in a bad way. Many of those, we heard about the phone was the only way, and so we jumped into that, and it took 7 years for that to really come to fruition after they talked about it.
Right.
AI, I think, is shocking us all with how fast it's moving. And I don't think people always understand that this is not like previous tech. This is tech that's making itself better. And and I just saw a headline the other day that it's kind of there, and it's starting to really ramp up. So from my perspective, we have to learn as much as we can. Yeah, sure. That's great. But in reality, when I look across the country, and Fort Wayne um, it's the second largest city in the country, and so we think we're maybe could be more cutting edge. But then you realize if you get in your car and you drive anywhere, I go to Florida, where a lot of the country is slow adoption for this tech. You
Yeah.
do have time. I
Okay.
think there's more time than people realize that they have.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to need to utilize it, but you've got time to figure out where it's going to go. And I didn't think I did in the beginning, to be really honest.
Yeah.
But this is
Right.
sweep over us quickly. And it isn't. The one thing that I do see is that it sort of is changing what you do every day. I think I think it's affecting revenue streams, that we've always had. And, you said it, it's like 5, 6, 7 years, 10 years down the road, but I don't think on this one we have the luxury of that. I think
No,
I
I
think
don't
we're
think so.
looking
Yeah.
at 2 years, and we're going, okay.
Mhm.
And now we're all
Mhm.
reading about job loss and those sort of things. So,
Yeah.
and
Right.
maybe that's going to create more jobs. I don't know. I don't really have a great feel on this one, other than to know I better be paying attention. I'm talking to my clients more about this than probably anything that's ever come before, because I need to
Yeah.
know where their heads are at. And
Yeah. What kind of questions are they asking you, or what kind of conversations are you having with them?
well, I'm just having a general conversation, trying to figure out how much they know. And
Okay.
to be
Got
honest
it.
with you, they know some that the headlines make everyone know, but I don't think
Sure.
they
Sure.
figured out or even actively always working on where it's integration, where integration is going
Yeah.
to happen.
Right.
Other than in the software they're already using, it's natural that rolled out.
Sure.
So I think that's some of it. So it gave me calmness a little bit to say, okay, we've
Right.
got to stay ahead
Right.
of the curve. We've got to be relevant.
Yeah.
Meaning we have to
Definitely.
know about it, but helping them determine where they're going to use it, how they're going to use it, what it can be trusted to
Yeah.
be used for. I think if I talk to most people, I would think there's a little bit of a cynicism around it right now, in my opinion, from what I'm hearing, is that it just has bad answers. I don't trust it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got a trust issue right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think, a couple things. One, I think it foundationally can be a decent thing, kind of give you a platform off of which to build on and bring human thinking and strategy,
Yeah,
that world. I think it also, just based on what I'm hearing you say, and I hear it from other agencies and marketers, that, you know, this where we are now gives you, agency principal, the opportunity to be ahead of the curve and lead your clients and show them the value, if and where there's value.
yeah,
Because the last thing you want your clients doing is having them asking you all these questions, and
yeah.
you not taking a proactive position and trying to manage that. So that definitely is, I think, presents a nice opportunity for you. But
I think it does. I think
um,
it does too, Mark. And I think the other thing is that how it's changing our job titles inside the agency.
okay,
We started to
right,
see it coming, or when it first rolled out. Of course, we were like everybody else, sort of caught off guard. I think it came kind of out of nowhere, and we've heard about AI forever, but
sure.
it just opened and
Yeah,
rolled out. And so, to me, to Andy Boyden and I, were like, okay, maybe we should let some attrition happen, because we aren't sure the job titles that are in this shop, in this business today, are going to be all the ones we need. And I think
right,
that's true.
right.
I think what we're learning is that staying lean and mean is going to be critical. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think it's also going to be interesting that you're going to have your AI prompting experts, or whatever, wherever it's
Hmm.
agentic expert. So I think you're
Sure.
going to have those people, just like you did with the web, that could talk it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think there are ways, I think it was in our last survey, we asked agencies about their use of AI, and things, fairly predictable stuff. It
Yeah.
makes, the creation of some things a little bit more efficient. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the agencies that can provide the added value in terms of thinking and
Yeah.
creativity and, just ideas on top of what AI can bring, I think at the end of the day are going to be the agencies that win. So I think you're on the right path and thinking about it the right way. So as we look ahead to 2026, what do you consider to be the one or two obstacles that agencies will need to overcome, and how does a firm like BNY, deal with those challenges head on? And maybe it's AI, but maybe it's something else.
Well, yeah, I think it would definitely will be in part AI, and I think what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
we're watching internal teams grow with on the client side.
Okay.
Um,
True. True.
and so I think that's a little bit of a challenge, is where do I fit in? I think the other challenge is, what
Yeah.
are our revenue streams going to be? Because a lot of that low-hanging fruit,
Okay.
those low-hanging fruit revenue streams are the ones that the clients are doing themselves, to a great degree.
Hmm.
And I've never been sorry that we sort of hung our hat on strategic creative thinking. I think that's going to be harder for AI to really, you know,
Right.
overwhelm us quickly. And I think it's still what the client needs. And for us, I think that whole idea of understanding their entire business, caring about all of it, is really
Yep.
important, because the I have a personal belief that how they're spending dollars today is not how they're going to spend their dollars next year even. I think I've got a couple
Hmm.
ideas with clients I've been pitching to them, that's a completely different model for them, in terms of how not only them but their employee base, their key stakeholders. How are we going to leverage these people?
Okay.
And I think there's a shift coming there as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. I like that thinking about just how the marketplace is going to change, and definitely in-housing of services is a trend that has been going on for a while, and I think just
Yeah,
being able to show marketers that you can be there to help them offload or bring, oftentimes marketers are looking outside because they just don't have the
that's
expertise or
right.
the strategic sort of foundational thinking to get them to where they need to be. So, nor the expertise in terms of creativity that it sounds like you guys can really bring to the table, which
I hope, and I'm sitting here thinking about one thing we haven't talked about, is the work from home situation, and like one of our larger
mhm.
clients, completely, they're going to sell their office building. I mean, they shut it down,
Oh
and
wow.
so every one of those
Oh
people are
wow. Okay.
working from home, and so all of a sudden that relationship piece of it is tough, because it's hard to
Yeah.
get together with
Yeah. Right.
people, and it
Right.
may be,
Yeah.
things may be just fine, but reading the room is harder for agency leadership. I think
Yeah.
you're not 100% sure
Definitely.
where things
Definitely.
stand. You hope it's all well,
Yeah.
and so we're spending some time doing things
Yep.
that we didn't have to do in the day. I mean, you checked in, but it was more obvious that how we were sitting with those
Yeah.
clients, and I think it's tougher now.
Y- Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's, it makes it harder to walk the halls and,
Correct.
you know, meet up with people
Yep.
and, building organic
Hmm.
new business from existing clients is an important, you know,
Absolutely.
avenue for new business. And so, no, definitely get it. Um, well, cool. Well, listen, this has been great. You've provided a lot of great perspective about the industry, which is super important, and great to know about sort of Boyden and Youngblutt's advantages and value that it can bring to clients and prospective clients. And so, I think both marketers watching this and agencies watching this, I think will learn a lot and really benefit from the insights that you've shared today. So
Thank you.
really appreciate you making the time, Jerry. And wish you all the best moving forward.
Well, thank you so much. I really, it was a fun conversation. I love this, as you could probably tell. Don't have all the
Yeah,
answers.
no, that's right.
I have more questions than answers. Let's put it that way.
No, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
Thanks,
Nothing
Mark.
wrong with
Appreciate your
that.
time.
So, well, good. Thanks a lot. Yep. Take care.
Bye.